I made my first video on this channel on June 2nd, 2024. What this means is that my channel is about to turn 1. To celebrate 1 year of this channel posting videos, I'm going to take a look at the proposals I've made to either create new train lines or extend existing ones. And I'll rank my proposals over the past year, all 16 of them, based on how excited I'd be if I were told that construction on all of my proposals would start tomorrow. There are some good ideas and some not as good ideas among my 16 proposals. But I'm hoping that my proposals have gotten better as I've gained more experience. Also, the later I rank something, the more excited I am about the proposal. So, without further ado, let's take a look at what I think about my 16 proposals over the past year. Of the 16, the one I would be least excited about is my proposal to bring passenger rail to State College, Pennsylvania. It would connect State College, which is home to Penn State, to the Amtrak line heading between Harrisburg and Pittsburgh. Here's the issue. Unless this line's construction coincide with efforts to make trains between Harrisburg and Pittsburgh come at least hourly, this line wouldn't have much ridership. No offense to Tyrone, Pennsylvania, but I don't know if that many people are looking to travel between Tyrone and State College without looking to head to a place beyond Tyrone on Amtrak's Pennsylvanian service. Number 15 is my proposal to bring rail to West Virginia University by way of a train line that would head between Charleston, West Virginia and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. If an announcement were made that construction would start on this line tomorrow, I'd be asking, why this line, ahead of so many others that should be built? To be clear, I think this would be a useful line. But I don't think this proposal should be prioritized over many proposals I have yet to discuss on this channel. Number 14 is my proposal for more or less restoring the old North Coast Hiawatha long distance train between Chicago and Seattle by way of some populous parts of North Dakota and Montana. I would be excited to see places like Bismarck, Billings, Bozeman, and a few places that don't start with a B get Amtrak service again. The problem? Long distance trains run at most once a day in the United States. Until that changes, it's hard to be more excited about that proposal than many of the proposals ahead of this on my list. Lucky number 13 is the high speed rail proposal between Tucson and Las Vegas by way of Phoenix. I think a lot of people would use this service. There's only one slight blunder, though. This proposal neglects to connect with the Southwest Chief Amtrak line in northern Arizona. That omission, if it happened in real life, would get some rightful criticism. So that's why I wouldn't be as excited about this proposal as some ranked ahead of this one. Number 12 would be my original LAC line extension proposal. This line would do some great things. Connect LAX to Disneyland, give rail to other major destinations in Orange County, and usher in a new era of transit cooperation between Los Angeles County and Orange County. There were a few major issues with my proposal, though, many of which were pointed out in the comment section of that video. But my biggest issue with that proposal, in retrospect, is that the density of development isn't really conducive for light rail in the stretch between the current Norwalk terminus for the C line and the downtown Fullerton station that I'd propose. If the announcement on this line's construction were paired with an announcement for transit-oriented development in places along the line, then I'd be more excited. Number 11 is my proposed Harrisburg to DC Amtrak line. It would undoubtedly be a useful line, but it is also among the shortest lines on my channel in terms of Amtrak proposals. Plus, of the cities served on this line, York, Pennsylvania is the biggest without Amtrak. No offense to York, but there are much bigger cities than York, at least when it comes to places that could use Amtrak but doesn't have it. Breaking into my top 10 is my proposal to turn LA's G Line, a bus rapid transit line, into a rail line that extends to where the likes of where Warner Brothers and Walt Disney Studios are. If this ranking were based on which ideas were most clickbaity, this would rank near the top, because I can sneak in images such as the Warner Brothers water tower. Which makes it a bit of a surprise that it's one of the less viewed videos on my channel over the past few months. Man, the YouTube algorithm can be weird. But alas, this is not a ranking of which ideas are the most clickbaity. The reason that this proposal isn't one that would excite me more than others is for one simple reason. It would serve a relatively small area. Checking in at number 9 is my Kansas City to Denver rail line proposal. I branded this as a video where I propose bringing passenger rail to Kansas State University, which in retrospect probably wasn't as good as branding it as a Kansas City to Denver line. Needless to say, I've learned a lot about this YouTube thing since I made that video. There is a lot of travel demand for trips between these two major cities, so linking the two on Amtrak would be exciting. The proposed line would also serve some smaller cities that currently have no Amtrak service, such as Manhattan, Salina, and Hayes. The reason this line isn't higher on my list is because the population in western Kansas and eastern Colorado is a little bit sparse. Middle of the pack, at number 8, is my proposed service between Atlanta and Myrtle Beach. Atlanta is the only major city on this route, but it would serve a lot of mid-size and smaller cities. Connecting Atlanta to the likes of Athens, Georgia, and Columbia, South Carolina on the way to Myrtle Beach is nothing to scoff at. It was hard to decide the rankings from 7 on up, so know that if you disagree with me on any of these rankings, that is more than okay. Of course, it's okay to disagree with any of my rankings, even the rankings before we get to number 7. The 7th most exciting of these proposals in my mind is the one to connect Indianapolis to Detroit. The proposal would do more than connect these two cities, though. It would also have stops at Toledo, Fort Wayne, and Evansville, to name literally 3. It would undoubtedly create headlines if you were to make a rail connection between two of this region's largest cities. However, the reason this isn't higher is that I don't have enough airport data to say confidently that this would be a high demand line. The same concerns over data are why I rank the Dallas to Amarillo train proposal at number 6. This was branded as a video proposing passenger rail to Texas Tech, which is in Lubbock. Abilene, Amarillo, and Lubbock are Amtrak-less cities with 6-digit populations. So on paper, it looks like my proposed service would connect a bunch of cities that should be connected to rail, but aren't. It's just hard to tell how much demand there be for the route, though, if I were to go off of airport data alone. We have now reached the top 5. Before going into the top 5, I ask people to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more content on imagining better rail transit in the United States. Make sure also to click the bell icon so that you're notified when a new video is released. Now to my top 5. Number 5 is my proposal for a rail line between St. Louis and Oklahoma City, by way of Springfield, Missouri, and Tulsa, Oklahoma. The big selling point of this proposal is that it would bring service to the only metro area of over 1 million without Amtrak currently, Tulsa. The one issue is that, like with some of the other lines in this part of the list, it's a little difficult to get a read of how much demand there is for travel between the cities on this line. I think that there will be a lot of demand, though. Number 4 is my amended LAC line proposal. It's a proposal that would still take you from LAX to Disney, but do so in a way somewhat more restrained than my original proposal for extending the C line. Restrained though it may be, it's a proposed extension that would not just serve Disneyland, but also Knott's Berry Farm, downtown Anaheim, and the stadiums for the Los Angeles Angels and the Anaheim Ducks, just to name a few. LA Metro's Line 460 shows that there is some travel demand between downtown LA and Disneyland. I hypothesize that there would be travel demand between LAX and Disneyland, not to mention other destinations along the route. But I can't say that for sure. Nevertheless, while I think that it's a dream connection, it's a connection that I don't expect to happen anytime soon. Number 3 is my proposed Boise to Seattle line. One exciting thing about this route is that it serves some rapidly growing metro areas, such as Boise, the Tri Cities area in Washington, the Yakima area in Washington, and of course, the Seattle area. Another exciting thing is that there is a lot of existing demand between cities along the route, as indicated by airport statistics. What keeps this from being in the top 2 is that this route would only serve 2 of the top 100 metro areas in the United States, and 2 of the top 100 cities in the United States. The second most exciting proposed route on my channel from the past year is my proposed El Paso to Denver line. Like with the Boise to Seattle line, there are some rapidly growing cities and metro areas along this route. And like with the Boise to Seattle line, there is a lot of existing demand for travel between cities along this route. But what makes this route even more exciting than the route behind this one in my ranking is that it would serve cities and metro areas even larger than the ones along the Boise to Seattle route. An El Paso to Denver line would serve 4 of the top 100 metro areas in the United States, and 4 of the top 40 cities in the United States. And the line I'd be most excited to see constructed, out of all 16 I've proposed, is my plan to build light rail on Santa Monica and Sunset Boulevards in the LA area. It would bring light rail to major destinations, such as Dodger Stadium and the Sunset Strip. It would serve corridors that have bus ridership that is competitive with many light rail lines, despite the supposed stigma around buses that several commenters have pointed out in videos. Perhaps I'm being overconfident, but I'm feeling pretty confident that if this line were built, it would have instant ridership success. And, for whatever it's worth, Metro Dreaming, the trainline mapping tool I'm using for LA themed videos, projects ridership only behind the 2 subway lines in LA, and ahead of all of the current light rail lines. Now, I'm not sure if that's how it would actually play out if this line were built, but I still think that this would be one useful, popular line. Of the lines I've proposed and summarized here, which ones sound most exciting to you? Am I overhyping or underhyping some of these lines? Please let me know in the comment section below. Thank you, and have a good day.